Have you? I'm sure you have. I'm sure you've. I'm sure you've stepped in dog shit before. I have. Yeah. And what do? We step in it, and the world changes for a moment. The whole world changes like, oh, and you've stepped in it, don't you? There's sort of that knowing. I've stepped in something I didn't want to step in. And if I've stepped in it in the park, I come back and I put my shoe underneath the outside tap and you know, make sure it's all clean and rub it on the grass. And dog shit's something we don't want, and rightly so. We don't want it around. And but what would happen if we got that dog shit and we've got a plum tree? We've got a plum tree and an apple tree in our garden. You might have trees around yourselves. What would happen if you put that dog shit underneath the plum tree? What would you be eating next year? Along with rotting leaves, dead insects, the earth, and the whole lot. Yeah. What happens is when stuff touches when the dog shit touches the earth, something begins to happen. Transformation. That's what happens. If it doesn't touch the earth, it can't happen in the same way. But when that alchemy, that chemistry between the dog shit and the earth, something begins to happen. There's a transformation happens, and then next year you're eating, made partly from the dog shit, sweet, sweet smelling, sweet tasting plums. That's what happens. Out of something we don't want, we get something that we do want. But that transformation has to take place. Okay. Now we have the equivalent of dog shit, stuff we don't want about ourselves. It may be maybe a sad feeling, maybe anger, maybe just feeling uncomfortable or low or heavy or whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. There's certain parts of life that we don't want. And certain aspects or certain experiences within ourselves that we don't want. We find them unpleasant. In a nutshell, we find certain experiences unpleasant. But it's not the equivalent of dog shit. We treat it like that. We treat it similar to how, we don't want it. See, there's riches in everything. Like the richness of dog shit, you wouldn't want it as that, but once it's transformed, what does it transform into? Something beautiful and wonderful and nourishing. So if let's take sadness for an example. Lots of us don't want to feel sad. But it's a natural feeling, it's a natural emotion. It's a response to something that's happened in life, tends to be around loss or around disappointment, a kind of sadness. Oh, let me give you an example. It's a few years ago, my father died. I use this example because it was so obvious. And there's two examples actually. Yeah, I'll use this one. My father died. Gaina's eyes were bad. It looked like she might have been going blind. It's, oh, goodness me, she's okay, thankfully. She's fine. And our dog Jaya was not very well at the same time. And oh, brilliant. I woke up one morning, I came into my little meditation space, and I noticed there was a ring of sorrow around there. And rightly so. Now, our first response to something like that let me keep myself busy. Let me just avoid this. I don't want this. It's dog shit. I don't want it. So we treat it as an imposter, something we don't want, something unpleasant. So I sat down and I just felt that feel, that ring of sorrow. I closed my eyes and all I did was feel it, nothing else. I didn't try to work it out, didn't try to zap it with white lights, or I wasn't particularly, I wasn't doing anything. I was just feeling it. A few tears came. Then at some point, I didn't notice something changing, but at some point I noticed a change. I noticed a transformation. I felt lighter, not free of it. And that wasn't my intention. My intention wasn't to be free of it, wasn't to change it, wasn't to transform it, wasn't to heal it, wasn't to do anything. It was just, let me just be here with it. Just feel it. End of story. I wasn't trying to be compassionate towards it. Let me give it compassion. I was just feeling it. For me, that is compassion in that moment. Just feel it. Just let it be. And after 20 minutes or so, it's a few years ago now, I felt lighter. And this has been my experience over the years of meeting on what I initially see as something unpleasant. I want to move away from it. I want to judge it or complain about it or whatever it is. But just as the earth is a transforming or is a transformational agent, so is awareness or a direct experience of whatever it is. It transforms stuff. So in the Buddhist tradition, where I sort of come from, they talk about sadness being the seed of compassion. If we are forever pushing away the sadness, if we don't want to feel sad, it doesn't have the chance to transform, because it transforms into a sort of empathy or compassion, whatever the words don't quite do it. So that if I allow myself to feel sad, it kind of connects me with other people, because I know that you can feel sad. Sadness in that way is a connector. It connects us with people. So our meditation practice, our mindfulness, or whatever you want to call it, whatever we're calling it today. Never know what to call it nowadays. Mindfulness is sort of so used for everything nowadays, and it's sort of it's sort of lost some of its meaning, some of its power. But that transformational, or rather, that transformation happens when we come into a direct experience of whatever it is. It might be a feeling of heaviness in the body, and we just feel heavy. Maybe day after day, or we'll wake up feeling particularly heavy. You can see it in some people's bodies. There's a heaviness or a tightness. You might notice like a holding in the belly, whatever it is. The practices or the approach is to just feel it, to just meet it. In a sense, listen to it. And again, in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, there's some lovely paintings and pictures, images of a great teacher called Milarepa. And he's sitting on a lotus flower with his hand behind his ear, just listening. The highest practice is just listening. Now, they say he's listening to reality, to emptiness, to the void, whatever you want to call that. But also it applies to everyday life. We begin to listen to ourselves, to listen to that, or to listen to the, but we have to be with it to listen to it. If you're not with somebody, I know we can do it virtually nowadays, but play with the image. If we're not with somebody, we can't listen to them. You have to be together. So there's you and there's the sad feeling, and you come together as one. And at some point, there's no distinction. There's just the sad feeling, or there's just the happy feeling. There's just this. But it's how we approach it without an agenda. And that's what we're going to do in a few minutes. We're going to meet our experience with or without an agenda. So just pause for a few moments. Just feel the body. See, this takes trust, because if we're sort of feeling something or we're with something and something is present in our experience that we find a little, ugh, and people popping up, how do I get on? So I'm just trying to, I don't want it. So just get rid of it. that we don't want, So it takes trust, because often what we want to do, we want to judge it, we want to get rid of it, we want to control our experience. We have a view about how we want our experience to be, and we only want the pleasant. Be honest with yourself. We want the pleasant, and that's fine. But life presents us with the pleasant and the unpleasant. We can't have just one without the other. It's like a coin. If you have a pound coin or a dollar coin, wherever you're listening from, or a euro coin, we've got to do the lot, haven't we? And it's got a heads and a tails. One side is the unpleasant, and one side is pleasant. Okay, so you have a coin. So what I'd like you to do is get that coin and just throw the unpleasant away. Throw it away. Okay, what happens? The unpleasant leaves, but so does the pleasant. You can't just have one side of the coin. You can't just have one side of life. It doesn't work like that. But that other side of life, that unpleasant side of life, takes on a different tone, it it takes the sting out of it when we begin to meet it, without the angst, without the wanting to get rid of it, without the pushing away and the judgment and the criticism and whatever it is. Good point. Do you transform it, or does it transform you? Good question. It's not. It's both. It's like the sadness. If we experience it, it seasons us. It's like a good broth with the salt in it. Yeah. So in a sense, we don't try to transform. We don't try to do anything with it. We just feel it, and we trust in that natural intelligence and natural transformational agent, which direct experience is, direct feeling. But we have to be honest because often we want to close down on them. And if you want to close down, that's fine. We're just honest about that, okay? Or if we want to zap it with healing purple lights, well, so it transforms, which means we transform. I mean, there's no distinction ultimately, but there's a transformation happens and we just trust in it. You don't need to work it out. So we're going to have a meditation in a few moments, guys. If you don't mind sharing this on your timeline before we begin. One or two more people might be able to join us. You're just going to sit for around about 6 or 7 minutes. That's all. We're not going to sit for long. I just want to introduce you to this practice. So just close your eyes. And take your attention into your body, just feeling the body. And just notice if there's anything inside, anything in the body that wants attention. Is there a tightness or a heaviness? If there is, just take your attention there, just feel it. Just feeling what's here. What does it feel like? It's a good question. What does it feel like? So you may ask yourself in words, in thoughts, and then you take yourself into the body and you just feel it. It may feel tight, heavy. Kind of just be interested, just listen. It's a kind of listening. You pay attention with a kind of being curious. Walk around the other side of it, as it were. Where is it in the body? Is it the belly or the chest or the whole body? Just be honest. Do you want rid of it? How do you feel towards it? I don't want it. That's okay. That's fine. That's it. Nothing you need to do. If you get lost in thought, just say to yourself, thinking. That's all it is. It's fine. And then just return back to the body and this something. If it's a tightness or a heaviness, you may detect an emotion connected with this. Sometimes emotions get locked in. Just keep feeling what you find. Let it reveal itself if it's ready. Don't prod and don't poke it. It's an act of kindness. Okay, so we're going to start to expand awareness to include other parts of the body, become aware of the head and the hands, the hips and the legs, feet. Become aware of sounds, opening your eyes. Okay, you can carry on. Actually, you can carry on with your eyes closed if you want to, and I just want to finish off with saying a few words. When I began meditation many years ago now, too long ago, and I had lots of ideas about meditation. It was about attaining enlightenment or awakening or you know getting somewhere. I'd be this superhero. I'd be this sort of enlightened Superman. And really, over the years, it's just simplified and simplified. I mean, if it's about enlightenment, what is that? Is it the end? Is it at the end of this certain path? Well, isn't it about enlightening what's here now? Shining the light of awareness on what's here. What's going on? Asking the question, what's happening? And then feeling it. And I remember I think one of the best mindfulness meditation teachers ever, Chogyam Trungpa, he was asked about meditation. And it's really just what we've done. He said he was the Tibetan master. And all he said, meditation is about feeling. And for me, that's it. It's about feeling. But we're just really feeling something here and now. Whatever's here, the pleasant and the unpleasant. Okay. So just a request, guys, if you've been enjoying these or benefiting from these sessions, you could help us out if you can donate anything. I know some of you have already donated things, donated something, but if you can't donate anything, right, it would help us out. Yeah, and do share it on your timeline. If you haven't seen all this video, it will be on the website later on the mindfulnesscic.co.uk. It'll be on there on the self-isolation page. Okay, just send me an email if you can't find it. I'm not going to be here Monday, but I'm going to be here next Wednesday. Yeah, and the donate button is there. The link's there if you can use it, or send me an email. And yeah. So sit quietly each day, 3 times a day, and follow on the meditations. Keep it simple. Just come back to the senses, feeling, listening, whatever it is. Just come back. Label your thoughts as thought. That's it. Thank you, Laura. Thanks, Gemma. Have a good weekend. Happy Easter. Thanks, Louise. Thanks, guys.